Hello and welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 524. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I am Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. Today is March the 26th, Friday. It's been over a week since we recorded last because life just happened. So
It did.
Yeah, so we're just trying to roll with the punches. But yeah, it's the last time we will record before Laura's signature birthday comes up next week.
Signature birthday.
Before she's officially over the hill.
Yeah, I wonder what that, if, you know how anniversaries have, special things attached to them? I wonder if there's special things attached with birthdays.
I don't know.
If
there is, Laura will be 40 on Tuesday, so people should tell us what birthday present should be.
I bought myself a birthday present yesterday.
I have made you one present. I'm making you another one, but it will never be ready in time. And I have another one that I'm going to make next week. So
you're amazing. Do you want to hear what I bought myself? It's the most ridiculous thing ever, and I cannot wait to tell you.
Is it something related to Animal Crossing?
No.
Okay, sure. Hit me.
So I was looking for a bag for one of my e-spinners, and I was just messing around on Amazon, and they had Rainbow Bright tote bags. So I have a Rainbow Bright. It's meant to hold your Rainbow Bright dolls. It's clear vinyl, and I don't care. It's gonna hold my Sparrow, I think.
It is a very Laura thing.
I am going to show it off when I get it too. Don't worry, y'all will be able to enjoy the rainbow brightness with me.
We'll have to put a link in the show notes when you share it so people can buy their own Rainbow Bright.
It's going to be the hot ticket item for sure.
It's funny because I can imagine you typing in soft-sided, sturdy case, and Amazon is like, "Are you sure you don't want a Rainbow Bright clear case, Laura?" Because we see your shopping habits and we feel like we know you.
I was actually looking for lunch boxes, 10 lunch boxes for something else, and I just fell down for spindles.
Yeah.
And I was like, a Rainbow Bright one of those would be very cool, but they did not. So anyway. That was how it started. How it ended was a clear vinyl Rainbow Bright backpack that looks like a rainbow. A tote bag, actually.
I was going to say, I thought it was a tote bag.
It's a tote bag. Anyway. That's happening. I almost bought the rainbow Doc Martens, but I resisted. They have Pride Doc Martens that have rainbow stitching. They're black.
Oh.
But I sent the link to our friend Steven instead, so that he could get them. I have a lot of shoes and a lot of Doc Martens.
You do have both. Well, I haven't seen, you don't wear your Doc Martens as frequently, but
yeah, that's true.
I have seen you do have a lot of shoes. Pearl likes to randomly bring them out and throw them around.
She does. She's so kind.
Pearl is Laura's dog, not her child.
I mean,
it might be funny if it was her kid, though.
She's as close to a kid as we're going to get. All right. Knitting. Would you like to go first, or do you want me to go first?
I don't care. You can go.
Okay. So I have two things that I brought over. I am still working on the cowl. I actually did 20 rounds at work today because I had to sit in a testing meeting. But it's the same blue, so I didn't even grab it. It's not very interesting. But I started another cowl, because how many cowls do you need?
A million.
I know, and this is an Andrea Mowry pattern called The Shift. It is the cowl version. There's also a sweater version, a hat version, and a shawl version. I almost said straw version. I don't know where, what. Anyway. And I'm knitting this out of 2 skeins of leftover patchwork kits. All this is hand spun by me. So there's these two. And then I grabbed out of the stash some Into the World. That's a 2-ply. So hopefully it will all be good. And I am about to start part 3. So 1 and 2 are basically done. And I'm about to start part 3, and it's nice and squishy. It's almost big enough to be a cowl now, I feel like. But a very tiny cowl.
And this one kind of is like got a triangle point, right? It's like a kerchief sort of.
It's got like a built-in I-cord. You see that?
Yeah.
On one side, and then this increased side did not have that I-cord, but now that it's going straight, it does have an I-cord. So you sew the non-I-cord sides together.
Oh, okay.
It's done. Someone sews the non-I-cord sides together.
It gets there.
I'm not certain who does that as of yet, but
the pattern doesn't say who sews it, just that it needs to be sewn.
And it's a pattern that calls for spin cycle yarns, and I find that hand spun, because spin cycle yarns are dyed in the wool, and then hand spun really subs nicely for those yarns. So that is the first thing, and that is living in my new Amy Beth bag that has sheepdog on it. You see the sheepdogs?
Mm-hmm.
And the sheep, they make me happy. She has a really cool new bag design.
I saw it.
Fabric in that bag design. Otherwise, I probably would have gotten it. But she had some other cool patterns that just weren't me. Yeah. Like, textiles are not me. But
I mean, you aren't personally responsible for supporting Amy Beth. I mean, I feel like I have to remind you of that sometimes. She does have other customers.
Does she? And then I finished the first Bad Guy sock. So that is done out of Nomadic. I'll even put it on a blocker from Knitting. This is a blocker from Knitting Left. It's got rain clouds and rain, which we have been having a ton of lately, but we've been very fortunate that all the tornadoes have missed us personally. So this is the first one. It is a toe-up sock using the Wendy Johnson gusset method. And the second one is cast on. Just a wee bit of the toe. I'm knitting that on size 1 needles. I have no idea what I'm knitting the cowl on. I think 6s, maybe. I'll look in a second. I'll look right now because that's kind of pertinent information for y'all to know. 4s. Those are not 6s. Those are 4s. So yeah. 2 main projects to work on. What do I want to do instead? Spin all day.
Yeah. I'm looking at the show notes, and Laura's spinning show notes are about 4 times as long as her knitting show notes, maybe.
I don't know that I have all of that to show, though. So I have some.
But you know what? You just got to embrace what you're motivated by. So whatever makes
fiber takes up a lot more room than yarn does.
It's true.
So really, I'm decreasing the volume.
Not the actual quantity, but
I also
the appearance of quantity.
I purchased 2 pounds of fiber this month as well, so there is quite a bit of stash to be spun at this moment. So yeah, I would love it if I could get 2 pounds done by the end of the month, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'm definitely going to get, I'm not counting in this total, like, stuff that I applied that's been done for a while, but I should definitely get over 1 pound done. We'll see how it goes. I have till Wednesday's the last day of the month.
Yep.
I had to do something for work today that had to be, well, I had to get something done by the end of the month. And I was like, I don't have to do it today. I have till Wednesday. And then I was like, yeah, but I really should do it today. So I ordered the textbooks for my building for next year. The like additional ones that we needed. It's very
glamorous.
fun. Yeah. We need more science textbooks. I had to get quotes and put it in order. Yay! The things that you don't know that you're going to be in charge of.
Yeah.
Become in charge of. Kind of like sharpening pencils. I am a pro at sharpening pencils. It's like I went to school for 4 years to know how to sharpen pencils correctly and quickly.
And this is pertinent for state testing, I'm guessing.
Yeah. And just in general.
Well, sorry if you can hear my dogs. Who knows? Somebody's probably breathing in our direction or something. So for me, what?
They're making sure you're safe.
Oh, yeah. That has nothing to do with me.
They're making sure their daddy's safe.
Yeah. So I've got 2 things I'm working on. One of them I'm sitting on, apparently.
Oh.
So, yeah, I've been working on this. So let's see, what was the last?
It was almost to the original size. You're missing the gray, I feel like.
Yeah, so this pink row right here was where I was the last time. So I've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rows. Well, almost 6. This purple row I'm still working on. But so this was where it was supposed to end here. But I decided I was going to keep going because I had the yarn. I might run out of gray again, maybe. We'll see. I'm counting how many rows I get out of this first ball, because then that'll tell me, because I had gotten a couple of extra ones. So then that'll tell me if I'm going to run out or not, probably. But yeah, I figured there are 16 colors aside from the gray, so I'm going to add 1 more row of every color. So that should increase its size nicely, so then it will be bed-sized.
Cool.
So you guys will have to suffer through seeing this a while longer. This is the Granny Goes Large Afghan. It's a giant granny square, and it is knit out of Stylecraft Special DK. And
it's great. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm using, I think, an H hook. Oh, here it is. Yep, a 5mm hook. And yeah, I've just been working on it here and there. My wrist has been giving me trouble this week. I'm not sure why. So I haven't made a ton of progress.
Ergonomic hook coming for you.
Well, I don't think it's that. I'm not sure if it's my mouse. I switched to a trackball mouse, so instead of moving the mouse, I move a ball in the middle of the mouse. And I really like it because my desk doesn't have a ton of space over here for me to move a mouse around.
Yeah.
And I've been using it for a couple months, and I really, really like it. But I'm wondering if it's putting pressure on a weird spot. So
like
I don't know.
Tendons or something, because it's more movement of your tendons, I would think, than your wrist.
Yeah, and it's more movement of my fingers. My wrist is more sedentary. So I don't know. We'll see. Because I don't really use my computer on the weekends, so I'll see if it improves over the next couple of days.
Yeah, I have a wrist thing too. If you ever need to wear it, like a little
like a brace thing.
Yeah, that I use during textbook issuing time. Like when I used to have to check out like 5 textbooks per kid, and they each weigh like a pound. It seems like. I got it for that. So, and I used it then, but then we went to digital textbooks. Yeah. So, and that's what I ordered today was digital textbooks. Digital textbooks, just like the digital copy, $72.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. They still got to get their money somehow.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the other thing that I'm working on is it's a little sort of shrug thing. It's by Heidi Kermayer. It's called Chance of Showers.
Ooh, you made some progress on that.
I did. So the stockinette is a 4-row repeat, and on one of those rows you do increases like every 4 stitches, and then every 5 stitches, and then every 6, up to the point where you do them every 21 stitches. And I finally finished that part. And so now it's ready to put in a divide for the sleeves. And it requires actually reading and paying attention to the instructions for about 15 minutes. And so it's been sitting for several days, just doing nothing. So the yarn is really lovely. It's Sunday Knits 3-ply, which I think is Eden. And I forget what the color name is. So it's just a really nice purple. And I'm using my Addy Rocket squared clicks, the ones that have like the little indents on the needle.
Yeah.
And I'm using a 4.5 millimeter needle, so that's a size 7. But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the only like knitting I've been doing. I've been doing a little sewing on and off, but I only have one finished thing. I've cut several things, but I haven't started sewing. Well, I tried to sew one thing. I'll talk about that. Hang on, let me grab it. Ah, my yarn stuck to my foot.
First world knitter problems.
It's traumatic, man. Okay,
it's really traumatic when yarn gets caught to Pearl's foot.
Yeah. Things that touch her feet are bad and must be destroyed. So I bought this to try and make it. It's Wardrobe by Me, and it's their bralette. And it goes up to a 3X, but a 3X also is defined as a full bust of 44.
Oh.
So
that is not a 3X.
Should have looked at that before just assuming a 3X was a more reasonable, closer to like a 50-inch chest or something like that.
Because that's what normal 3Xs are.
Right. Like, so
in clothing.
Not ideal, but I thought, well, I'll go on with it, and I'll just add, you know, like a 1/2 inch on the side of every. Basically, I graded it up myself, which, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. But for an undergarment, there's a lot of things happening that just grading alone is not going to necessarily solve. So, I mean, I got
another bralette that you have.
Yeah, I probably will. And I'm also, I cut fabric for a set that came with my monthly subscription thing, the Indie Stitch thing, which is it's the Olivia bralette and knickers. And it's like a sort of a
knickers.
I know. It's sort of like a 50s, like very long line, high-waisted briefs and long, like the bralettes, kind of like a tank sort of thing. So anyway, I got the cups and everything sewn, and there was, I absolutely hate picot lace edging and will never put it on anything ever again because it was such a pain in the butt. But the problem that I encountered was there were no instructions you're supposed to add elastic to the bottom, or you can use just this jersey fabric if you're like
a size
A or B, maybe. You could probably get away with it. But there were no instructions to encase the elastic in fabric. And that's going to be super irritating on the skin to have that, because, you know, fabric, it stretches and it's going to pinch your skin if it's not encased in something. So once I got to,
like I have some like sports bras that have elastic that don't pinch.
Right, and so our friend Jess sort of turned me on to this place called Tomboy X, which does a lot of great neutral, like gender neutral undergarments. And they actually just started making this like one-sided bra for mastectomy.
Oh, cool.
People who've had to undergo a mastectomy. And they have exposed elastic too, but it's designed in such a way that it doesn't have a seat. So like wide elastic like this has the little like grooves and dips in it. And that's what gets caught and pinched. So once I realized that it wasn't encased, I just got really upset and put it to the side. And I'm like, you know, I'm just not going to spend any more time on this. So that was my sort of Well, that was one of my
Maybe
selling.
someone has a helpful hint to help you with that.
I've got other bralette patterns, and I've got the one that I made several months back that works great. So I'll probably just go back to that one. It's okay. Not every pattern's going to work. It's annoying, but you know, it is
I'm
what it is.
sorry that it's a fail.
But yeah, I don't have any knitting FOs. Do you have anything you want to show?
I do. I have two.
Cool.
I have the little baby vest that I knit.
Oh yeah.
It's a pattern called by Joji Locatelli called Felipe, and I think I knit it on 4s and 5s.
I think you've knit this before, right?
I have.
Okay.
I definitely have. So it is I used another Crafty Girl worsted, some leftovers that I had in the Pound Puppy colorway.
I was gonna say, yeah, I thought it was a Pound Puppy color. Yeah.
Yeah, I've knit this yarn before too. These are just little leftovers because it doesn't use much, and it's this cute little vest, and you can do it in a couple hours. And if you have a full skein of yarn, there's also like this cute little hat that you can do with it. And I gave it to one of my coworkers that I actually taught when they were in school. She had her first kid like 2 years ago. And it was their like bring them home from the hospital outfit, which was, and she sent me pictures. So she is knit worthy for forever.
Yeah.
But I recently gave like my last like boyish knit, not that knits have gender, but
Right.
I live in the South, and
if we're interpreting it under normal gender or under accepted gender colors, yeah.
Well, I have a lot of the like, what are those? Like dresses and stuff knit. But I didn't have any garments that would work for what my coworkers assume would be a baby boy. So a little baby boy vest or girl. Like this is a very neutral color anyway, so this will work for both. The browns and yellows.
So is this going in the box or going to someone?
It's going in the box. And my coworker who I like that's pregnant, I like a lot. She and I were talking about baby blankets today. So I'm gonna knit her the Twinkle Twinkle blanket. And she asked for it to be a very neutral color because she's having more kids and she wants to use it with each of the kids. So I need to see what I have in the stash and like a DK of 800 yards. So I might have, I'll have to look. That's a lot of yardage. There might be some Volmiza. I'll have to look. And I can also use fingering weight. So like 1,000 yards of fingering weight. But her shower is in like 2 weeks. So I would rather do a DK weight. But the other Twinkle, and I offered her the other Twinkle Twinkle, and she wants a solid color. She doesn't want anything that's variegated. So otherwise I would be like, here you go. Because I got 2 skeins of this, which probably is not enough, but I would get a third and then it would be enough. I do like this color. This is Knitted Wit DK in the Brave Enough colorway. That's so pretty. And I bought 2 skeins for me to do a honey cow. There's been 10 skeins of yarn that have entered this house this month, but it's my birthday month. And then I'll go back on the wagon because I've only knit 3 skeins so far this month. So one of the other skeins, and I'm not counting that baby vest because it was leftover. So the cashmere hat was 2 skeins. And then these really cool socks that I knit from Mustache were a skein. And maybe I'll finish some other things. I have till Wednesday. I can knit all the things, right? By Wednesday?
Sure, why not? Find all those 50-yard skeins.
I know I need to find some more 50-yard skeins. And bulky. Please and thank you. Actually, I do have a bulky project planned. I'll talk about that in a second. So these are Mustache yarns. That's the self-striping. And the Mordor Fun Run colorway. The dark blue was a Knitterly Things Solid that I got from her. She also does Vesper self-striping. And this was like a 60% skein, so it was a little bit less expensive. And I cranked it on our Speedster sock machine. and put in afterthought heels, toes, and ribbing so that I could use, because I wear size 11 shoes, and I wanted to be able to use this for socks for me. And it's just a fun rainbowy-ish purple-based rainbow, and I'm super stoked about them. So those, and I needed some more shorty socks for like the summertime. So yeah, those are done. So those are my 2 finished objects. You're doing some spinning. I'm super happy to see you spinning, friend.
I am. It hasn't changed very much at all since the last time I showed it, but I will show it. So this is a paint box. Is that what it's called?
No, it's what are those
Patchwork.
called? Patchwork kits.
Yeah, so it's a patchwork kit from Hello Yarn, which is basically just sort of odds and ends that are in the same general color family. But it could be any mix of fibers. And I've encountered at least 3 different fibers so far. And this is the 4th little like nest thing that I've spun, because she just curls them up into like a little nest to put some together.
And they come in like 1 pound bags. So it's a substantial amount of fiber.
It is. And of course it's dyed by her, so it's great quality. So this is what it looks like. All different. There's like some olive green and some green yellow, and there's some different pinks and browns in there. I'm spinning this on my Daedalus, not Sparrow.
Starling.
Starling, thank you. I knew it was an S one.
That's the V3 that can do both Irish and Scotch engine.
Yep. You got a little, I guess I could have just read that, huh?
I always have to look at mine because Sparrow and Starling are 2 bird words that start with a same sound. So
I'm using their little soft stop pedal, and as well as the optional battery that you can get that comes with it. And so this right here is the entire spinning kit. This is all I need to take with me if I'm spinning. Which is
if
nice.
you had a Rainbow Bright bag, you could carry it very lovely.
I could, and I would be on fleek and turnt and lit.
On Wednesdays, we wear Rainbow Bright.
But yeah, so I was spinning that as we record. I meant to take it down. I probably would have gotten some more spinning done this week if I'd taken it downstairs, but my crafting room is upstairs above the garage, and I spend almost all my time downstairs unless I'm sewing or recording. And sometimes I genuinely cannot muster up the effort to get up and come upstairs.
It's a proximity thing. Like, you don't work on things if they are not in your proximity.
Yeah. The crochet blanket is usually right next to me, so that's what I end up working on more often than not. But yeah, so that's my spinning. Let's see your massive parade fiber.
Parade. All right, I'll start with the 2 whips that I have in front of me. Both are being spun on Daedalus wheels. So the first, I'm also spinning a patchwork kit. Mine was not a complete kit, so I had taken out a little bit of it to use for the blanket spin, which is now becoming the shift cowl spin. Sorry, I have a needy puppy all of a sudden. So this is my Starling. I have a V2, and this is what I have on the patchwork kit. I have around at least 8 ounces done, I would say. Maybe a bit more. I have 1 more little fiber nest right here. And to finish up what's being spun right now, and then this kit will be complete.
Wow.
So yeah, like 8 ounces, I would say. So maybe 10 by the time I'm done. And then on the Sparrow right now, I am spinning some hip strings fiber. And this is a 70-30 blend of oatmeal BFL and Tussa silk. So it's a pretty dense fiber. It's called Bad Romance. And in the braid, it looks like this. It's an older braid. I don't know how long I've had this, but it's fairly deep stash. At least 2 years old, maybe 3.
It's actually brighter as a single than it is in the braid.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely got a lot of gray, but when you spin it, you see more of the sheen of the silk, I think.
Yeah, it's unusual because usually it's muddy. Like typically what you see in a braid is going to sort of soften to some degree when you spin it.
Yes. So can I tell you that they updated their shop today and yesterday, and they added like 3 new blends, and I want them all, but I resisted because I bought 2 pounds of fiber this month.
I mean, Nick and Jill are fantastic human beings, and
they are. And I'll get some of that fiber. It just it can't be this month. Yeah. Luckily, the end of the month is Wednesday, so
she doesn't have long to wait.
Oh my goodness. So those are what's currently on the wheels. I'm also working on a knit spin farm bat on the ladybug, actually. I'm spinning long draw on the ladybug. I finished the cashmere from Spotted You on the Matchless. It's just waiting to be applied. And that's on the Thames colorway. And then I'm also still spindle spinning on the Manatee spindle. But I did finish 3 things, so I'm going to show those to you if Pearl will allow me. So this is the Spotted You Holy Hibiscus, and this is a Buckland Llama Yellow Eerie Silk blend. So it's got a lot of shine and shimmer to it.
Wow, I have almost no crimp, I would guess.
It's fun, fairly. Yeah, it's very drapey.
Yeah.
Bobbin, you know, when you spin like 100% wool and it wants to like cling to each other.
Yeah.
This was just, hey man, I'm hanging out here. You can be in your space. There's like a 6-foot distance rule. So it was just very chill, and it is very. So if you ever want to know how we've done this on the podcast before, how drapey your fiber is in a skein form, if you put it up and it goes like that, it's fairly drapey. But wool, and it depends on factors like how like tight it's twisted. Like I did not twist this very tight either, but wool will usually stay up pretty much. This one is not, because I was given an example, and why would we do that? Right. So this is like a commercial wool. So this is been farm Targi, and see how it's standing up. But this is very drapey.
So that would indicate that it's not going to have a lot of like stretch and bounce back, but it would be a lovely, you know, as long as, you know, needing to conform around curves is not an issue, then it would be perfectly fine.
Yeah, it would be perfect to use in a scarf for weaving, or
like a drapey cardigan, or
a shawl, or a cowl that you want to drape. This is only 340 yards, but you can also combine it with something else, like stripe it or whatever. But like for a hat or socks or a mitt, it would not be the best choice. I'm thinking, I mean, it might be fun to experiment. She gets this milled for her. So, there's no one else who has this specific blend but her. But yeah, 33% silk is going to add drape to anything. And that shine, it's got a gorgeous shine to it.
Yeah, it does.
It's really pretty.
I actually don't think I've ever spun llama.
I have a whole fleece of llama that someone gave me that you are welcome to try.
I mean, I have llama fiber somewhere, not a whole fleece worth. I think 2 ounces or something, but.
And then this is South American wool from Hello Yarn in the Organic Matter colorway. It was Club. I love how dark and like broody it is.
Yeah, I dig that. It's a good color.
370 yards of a 2-ply, so basically a fingering weight. So yeah, and all these have been washed. And then the last thing that I plied also has a lot of silk. This was the Hip String Space 12. So this is spun. This was their advent. and every day was around a half an ounce, and some were in bat form and some were in their roving or top form, depending. And I did a 2-ply so that it would be a natural gradient, and it ended up being 335 yards from 6 ounces. So it is definitely like a worsted, but it's got all the bits of sari silk and other funness. But the prep was different. So like sometimes it could be top and sometimes it was bat. So I just spun it all worsted to try to like smooth it out a little bit. But yeah, it's fun. And 335 yards again would be great to like weave into a scarf as the weft or the warp. So especially with the silk, it's really strong. So that is what I have for spinning. What have you been reading?
Well, this thing stopped working. The audio stopped working on my headphones again. I'm trying to get it fixed because I have no idea how echoey this would be.
It's not bad on my end.
But the speaker and the headphone are basically right next to each other. So let me try to get it fixed real quick.
Okay. Your headphones do not like you today.
I do not understand what the problem is, but I'm sure it's my fault somehow. All right, Bluetooth is on. It's trying to connect. Now it says it's connected. Say something.
Hey.
There we go. All right, so hopefully that wasn't horrifically echoey for people. I'll see if I can figure this out before next time we record. Okay, so let me cancel out of this. So as for reading, I haven't done a ton of it this week. I started reading a book called Perfect Pending, Witches of Gales Haven. It's another one of those, the new sort of wave of books, paranormal women's fiction.
Like the Middle Age.
Right, where the
yeah.
protagonist is like 40s, you know, sometimes still with the husband, sometimes divorced or widowed, and she's sort of finding her sea legs again, so to speak. I find that those can be, I find it hard to believably fall into that the worlds presented in those. The only ones that I've found that I really actually enjoy are the ones by K.F. Breen, which is the Magical Midlife whatever series. I've read all of those except the last one, which isn't out until May. So I've tried this Perfect Pending one, which is, it's okay so far. It's heading towards that part where everything magically fits in her life and she's back with her childhood beau and the world is amazing. And like, that's the part where it tends to lose me. Right when things get good, then I stop being interested.
Like that happy ever after is not going to work for me, romance novel.
Yeah, it's totally
even though that's the whole thing that romance novels are based on.
Like, there's got to be some, like, you can't like have conflict and then have that conflict completely resolved at the 60% mark. Like, it's not, that's not life. I'm sorry. And you know what? That's my perspective. If it works for you, rock on with your bad self. Reading is an escapism, so you do what makes you happy. So I started a new series last night, but I can't remember what it is, so I'll talk about it next week. And I've just finished yesterday re-listening to the Tales of Urania series, which is a male fantasy romance by TJ Klune. It's an excellent series, but it is male romance, so you have to keep that in mind. And I am trying again the Hitman's Guide to something.
I love those by Alice Winters.
Yeah, the Hitman's Guide to Making Friends and Finding Love.
They're so funny.
Yeah, so it's another male, and it's sort of
Romance.
a detective-y kind of.
It's a romance.
Yeah, at least the first part of it sort of. They haven't actually gotten to the romance part yet, so. Well, I mean, sort of, but anyway, I won't ruin it. I mean, it is funny. Don't get me wrong, it is funny. But the narrator sometimes forgets which character he's narrating, and so the voices
I've
don't
not
always
listened
match.
to the audiobooks. I've only read them.
So, anyway, there's that's what I've been reading and listening to. What about you?
I'm petting the dog because that is now my life.
Yep, that's your responsibility.
I am still reading two things. I'm still reading the Amari and the Night Brothers. I had set it aside and started some new books and then promptly abandoned them. I've been like very into abandoning books lately. So I need to kind of get back into middle grade and YA reading and find something that I'm not going to abandon. And I'm still listening to Emerald Blaze by Alana Andrews, which is an adult male-female paranormal romance. Amari and the Night Brothers is a middle grade fantasy that I'm also listening to. I listen to that at work, but work lately has been very hectic.
Mm-hmm.
So I haven't been doing that as much. I've actually been seeing kids more, which is awesome and what I want to do. So less listening to books, more actually seeing kids, which is awesome. We have a question. We do have a question.
Before we get into that,
I
actually have a finished object that I forgot to share.
Oh, okay. I want to see.
It's a sewing finished object. Ow. Sorry. Probably just put my boobs in the camera. That was not intentional.
I mean, was it not?
I talked last week about the Tammy convertible hoodie. I made one for my niece, which she has yet to come and pick up. But I also made one for Laura. So
yay!
This one, and I'm glad I did because when it was done, I tried it on. And it's too small for me, which is fine because Laura's smaller than me. But
not by a lot.
I'm glad I tried it on because the instructions that she has for adding the thumb hole cuffs puts them like it works great if your hand never leaves like being down at your side. If you were to bring your hand up and actually use it, it would pull your hand like downward. So I fixed that. I adjusted where the thumb hole cuffs go. But so this is out of a French terry. I got this from fabric.com, I think. So I've got the double hood and the alternating cuffs and hem and the kangaroo hoodie pocket. So it needs to be washed, which I'm going to do. But aside from that, it's done. I was able to do most of it with my serger, which always makes me happy. Really, there was
for everyone.
What?
Hoodies for everyone.
I actually might make one for Kobe because he still likes to wear a hoodie, but the ones that he got are really thick, like really heavy. And I might make him one out of like jersey. So he's got like the coverage, if that's the thing he's interested in, without it being too heavy. So yeah, I just have to make ties for this one, but that's just a matter of cutting a couple of long, thin strips and sewing them. It'll take 20 minutes maximum. So
cool.
Yep. So that's done. And then the other thing, I've got some chalk marks on here from where I marked it. So the other thing is during work hours. So my job, I'm able to work from home, which is wonderful. And I'm sitting in front of a computer for at least 8 hours a day. More often it's like 9.5. But occasionally during that time, I'm on a meeting where I actually have to be there, like digitally via Zoom and stuff, which is why I don't do a lot of Zooms for like social interaction, because I get zoomed out and I have no interest in doing it after work hours. But frequently during that time frame, my hands are idle. So if I brought my wheel downstairs, I could spin. Sometimes I will crochet or knit, but lately I've been trying watercolors with like online tutorials.
Yeah.
So I've got a few of those to show. And these are, so one of our lovely viewers last week or the week before mentioned on the show notes a YouTuber called The Frugal Crafter who does watercolor tutorials. So I've done a few of hers. So this one is like, oh, I need to adjust this so that I can actually see what you guys can see. Sorry, I'm like falling apart here today. All right, there we go. So this is one.
Ooh, I like that.
And this one is like a pond sketch. This one was done exclusively with a water pen. So it's just like one specific brush and that was it. And this one is like a birch tree and a mountain.
Ooh. You're getting really good at that.
I'm really not, but watercolor is like interpretive enough that you sort of see what you want to see, which is nice. And then we subscribe to this, well, we subscribe to this thing called the Crafter's Box. Not every single box is something that we need, so we have the option to skip it. But this was one I got earlier this year, but hadn't had time to do until recently. And this one was watercolor, but with this white, it's called pen ink. No, you paint it after you paint it's kind of like a white, it's not as thick as a white paint. It's, I'll put a link in the show notes to what it is, but it's one of those Dr. Phil something or P.H. Martin pen something. I forget what it's called. But this was one of the kits. And so
that's cool.
Use techniques of how to draw trees and just do it on this interpretive sort of background thing. So these are all things that'll go in my craft book for the year. None of them I'm like super duper ridiculously proud of, but I'm moderately happy with like the lake scene and like the birch tree one. I'm moderately happy with that. So
you're still learning.
Yeah.
So it's
trying
a growth
to give
thing.
myself some room to grow. So yeah, I'm happy with those. That's what I've been the only thing I've actually made progress on this week, but that's okay. So I see we have a question. Let me read it.
Yeah.
So this is from Salty Joe Knits. She says, I was wondering if you have suggestions for gamification of your crafting productivity. I know you left the Harry Potter house crochet.
It's knit and crochet house cup, yeah.
Yeah. And I still play. Increasingly, for a variety of reasons, I'm thinking of quitting. And so this is an online on Ravelry sort of imaginary points system based on the things that you craft. So she says she's thinking of quitting. I'm oddly motivated by imaginary internet points. And when I took the winter term off last year to SOS, I don't know what that means.
It's sabbatical.
Oh,
it's like a sabbatical off. Mm-hmm.
I found my productivity went down, but also the inner zen I get from crafting took a hit. Most of that was pre-COVID stopping the world spinning on its axis. I get that. So I've been trying to think of ways I can game my crafting where I don't need the motivation I get from House Cup. I know that probably sounds ridiculous, but I thought I'd ask if you and Leslie might talk about what motivates you to be productive in your crafts. That's a good question. Why don't you go first and I'll think.
So I still gamify I gamify my whole life.
That's true.
Everything is me setting goals, often ridiculous goals and trying to work towards achieving those goals. And sometimes in my head, it's a race against people like Leslie.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not. But what I do that works really well for me is I track, and this is in life in general. Instead of making to-do lists, I track what I accomplish for the month. And sometimes you accomplish more than what you actually think you've accomplished. And some people do this. They'll assign points, like Chore Wars, where they assign points to like doing different things. So like sitting and spinning for 15 minutes a night might earn you 10 points. And when you hit a certain number of points, you get some kind of reward. So, and that reward can be very dependent on you. It can be, you know, ordering Chipotle for dinner for that night once you hit like 2,000 points or whatever. It can be something like a skein of yarn. It's just it can be a Cadbury egg. It's just what works for you in your life.
These are all things Laura has put on her list, I'm guessing.
These are all things that happen in my life. So it's just, you can create your own point system and track it. I use a bullet journal type tracking system. I also got a little printer where I print pictures now of things that I've accomplished, as well as, you know, writing them down with some notes. But that's kind of what works for me. I'm also in the process of doing like an in out with my stash.
Mm-hmm.
So I am trying to use up more than what I bring in. So that is also very motivating for me, because on a typical month, that is not my birthday month. I try to not buy things until I've moved like that, you know, I can buy 2 skeins once I've moved 3 skeins out or something like that. So I try to have less coming in than I have going out. But it's my birthday month, and I do what I want on my birthday month.
You are a grown-up woman.
Well, that buys Rainbow Bright bags, but you know.
mean, you pay your own bills.
I do. And that allows me to buy Rainbow Bright bags. But that's what really works for me. Also, having a podcast that occurs once a week is a big motivator. Leslie and I kind of check in with each other and make sure that we have something to show. This week's a heavy week because we took a week off for multitudes of reasons. But so this is not like a typical week for us. If you're just joining us, please don't assume that we like spin a pound of fiber and finish multiple objects in a week, because that's not.
Stick around. You'll get a slow week in no time.
That's not what typically happens.
I would agree that the podcast, at least for Laura and I, is part of the motivator. So, you know,
and I feel like you can get that accountability with like a check-in partner. You don't have to start a podcast. You can have like a friend that you check in with. Absolutely.
Yeah. That helps, because even if, you know, I don't have anything finished or anything new to show, as long as I feel like I've made some progress, then, you know, it's fine. There are going to be, there were like 3 weeks in January where I had nothing but that freaking granny blanket. And, that's just life. That's how life goes.
Just 3 weeks? Which blanket?
For me too, this year, part of it is I want to try new things. I'm always looking for like the new hobby that's gonna like change my life. I guess like some people shop for shoes that way, or try diets that way, or, you know, try books that way, or whatever the case may be. I'm always looking for that.
Chocolate that way.
Nothing wrong with that. And this year I started craft booking, which is basically like a scrapbook. I'll bring it next week, bring it upstairs next week and show it again. but I basically, started making this sort of scrapbook of the things that I've done this year, which is like Laura was talking about with bullet journaling. It's very similar. And I put in pictures of the projects that I've done because,
Oh, I do have mine here. Hold on.
If someone were to ask me right now, like what I accomplished last February, I would have no idea. Like I would have I could go in the show notes, that might tell me, or go back through my pictures and my phone during that time. But really, that's the only way I would know what I had done. So this is just me sort of trying to keep a record of some of the crafts that I'm doing. Yeah, mine's kind of like that.
Yeah. Look, I was trying to use my fancy lettering that I learned.
Yeah.
And our fail along. It's not good. The attempt was made.
It's okay.
So last month I knit that handspun headband. Looking back, I knit that huge blanket and I knit the hat. So yeah, I can see. I feel like for me, writing what I've accomplished down versus making goals has been really, really helpful, especially during this pandemic, because weird things are happening all the time.
Yeah.
What you expect to get done doesn't always get done. And I was having some serious issues early in the school year because I would make my list of things that I wanted to get done that day, and then something would happen, and none of those things would get done. And I was feeling very defeated with myself about not accomplishing goals because I'm an Aries, and I'm very goal driven. So writing what I've accomplished, even if it's like spending 15 minutes a day, is very rewarding to me because it's something that I've done that the next day I would totally forget that I had done.
Yeah. So yeah, finding a way to keep track of the things that you've accomplished is great. But I definitely understand, how something like the Harry Potter Knit and Crochet House Cup can be very motivating, because it's like, it's the same sort of idea as it used to be, or maybe it still is for some people, like stalking yarn. Like there's this cool thing and I want to be involved and I want to get the yarn. And so it's like it becomes this sort of group.
It's a community.
Like mantra, this like, driving thing. And, so everybody gets together to talk about it and to share the way that they've contributed, or the way that they, what they've bought or made, or whatever the case may be. Sorry, I spilled my drink, so I'm cleaning it up with a roll of toilet paper that is sitting right here from when Laura was still here and had a cold.
Like 2 years ago, by the way.
Yep.
2 or 3 years ago at this point.
I could put that in the bathroom, but I'm sure I'll need it sometime. So,
today is
how it goes. Yeah, I'll get the little spot on in here later, but yeah, I would say just find a way to track it. I'm looking for an alternative to Ravelry. If people have suggestions, I'm open to that, because I like the discussions that we get to have with people on Ravelry, but I don't like that Ravelry isn't making enough of an effort to make the site as usable as it needs to be. So
it's hurting people, and that's not okay.
Yeah.
So we do need someplace else to host Stash Dash. We will be hosting Stash Dash on a separate site. We haven't decided yet if it's going to be like, there's 2 of them.
Discord, isn't that one?
Discord is one of them.
Yeah. So if anybody has suggestions, we're totally open. Let us know.
Yeah, we're not Facebook people. I will tell you that. I don't like Facebook's interface. It's not.
It needs to be forum based, like
the
existing Ravelry needs to have a way for people to interact with each other in a more friendly way. So yeah, I don't know that really answered your question, but it gave us something to talk about for 20 minutes. So rock on.
And caused you to spill your drink.
Yeah, that wasn't the question's fault. That was my clumsiness fault. I wish I could blame it on Salty Joe, but it's not her fault. So, or his. But yeah, I think that's it. My dog is.
No, I have some favorite things. That's
Oh, okay.
not it.
Sorry, I got the baby gate up in my door because somebody decided to pee in here, so I had to lock everybody out.
I mean, Kobe's often.
I mean, I don't know that his pile would be quite so small and neat, but yeah. Cubby's my 18-year-old son.
So Willie Wormhead, speaking of things that are off Ravelry that are amazing, is offering classes now. And she's offering them on her site. The first one is like design a knit beanie, and it's free. So you get to try her like teaching style. I was super impressed. Not only does it all closed captioned with very clear photography, she also has a transcript. So you can look at the transcripts if that's your jam, which it is for me, because sometimes I mishear things. And then she has a great like handout that you print off. So that one is free. And then there's like a design a sideways hat one, like a sideways beanie. There's 2 other ones, and they're very reasonably priced. So yeah, definitely check them out. And then on other lesson things, this past weekend, I got to spend a Sunday with Jillian Marino because she has a Patreon now, which is amazing. And she's doing added content. So she like videoed herself flying a couple weeks ago, but on kind of like we do the VKN, she's doing spin day for 90 minutes where you can ask her any kind of spinning question and just hang out with Jillian and some other people in Zoom. And it is loads of fun and very enabling. My shopping list is quite long now from that Zoom. So that is also another cool person that you can sponsor on Patreon. And I wanted
So you started supporting Jillian on Patreon in the same month that you bought 2 pounds of fiber.
Yes.
That's shocking to me.
Jillian did enable me on the Into the World fiber. She did not enable, I enabled her on the other fiber. And some of the fibers for a super secret project that I don't even know you know about.
I don't think I do.
I'll just tell you about it when you come by. But yeah, that is it. That's it now for reals this time.
Well,
So
I'm going to go pick up my grocery order and then maybe order Chipotle for dinner because now Laura's put that idea in my head. I'm like, Chipotle, good.
It does sound good again. I might get some work. I think I had it on Monday.
That's been a week then. Totally. So yeah.
I mean, almost a week. And I had a salad for lunch. My boss, we had like a 3-hour meeting. So he bought us lunch and he got me a salad with strawberries and blueberries and such in it. So Chipotle does sound good. All right. Well, y'all have a good rest of your week. We will see you next week. We will see our Patreon sponsors on Sunday for the VKN.
Yep.
Do we have a time for that?
Nope, but you and I can decide, and then we'll send it out. We'll put a post up about it, and so if you are a Patreon supporter of us, you'll get an email that tells you, okay, this is going to happen Sunday at this time. So
cool. And then we'll have a fail along next week.
Yep, I got that stuff today. So
good.
And figure out when we're going to do that. So
maybe we can do it. We can't do it on my birthday because that's
it's your birthday. I wouldn't want to do it anyway on your birthday.
No, it's fun. It'd be fun to do it on my birthday. All right.
We'll figure it out. So you guys have an awesome weekend, and we will talk to you again next week.
Bye, y'all.